guys, it's Relaine and welcome back to another episode of Life, but this time it's the Easter special. So we should just get started. I don't exactly have a song of the week, mostly because I don't really know a lot of those songs, but there is this CD I used to own. I have no idea where it went, but it was a VeggieTales Easter CD, and it's just really adorable, and I think you can find it on Amazon Prime Music thing. I don't know, Apple Tunes. I don't know. I don't really use music thing. But anyways, I think we should just move on to the Bible story of the week. Today we'll be doing the resurrection of Jesus. Matthew 28, Mark 16, Luke 24, and John 20 is where you can find the story. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is the foundation of the Christian faith. Without the resurrection, the belief in God's saving grace through Jesus is destroyed. When Jesus rose from the dead, he confirmed his identity as the Son of God and his work of atonement, redemption, and reconciliation, and salvation. The resurrection was a real, literal, physical raising of Jesus' body from the dead. Jesus was arrested, tried, and found guilty of claiming to be a king. His body was hung on a cross between two thieves. After his death, Jesus' body was wrapped in linen cloth and placed in a tomb with a large stone. Rolled across the opening on the third day and early Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene and another Mary came to the tomb and found it empty. Sitting on this rolled away stone was an angel of the Lord who told them not be afraid because Jesus has risen. As the women left to tell the disciples, Jesus Christ met them and showed them his nail-pierced hands. Both of the Old and New Testament speak of the truth of Jesus being raised from the dead. Jesus testified on the resurrection before he died on the cross, and his disciples witnessed his body after resurrection. Sorry, I'm really tired. And that is the Bible story of the week. And now it's time for the kids thing of the week. And today we're going to be doing a VeggieTales movie that I actually own on DVD called VeggieTales: An Easter Carol, which is Easter special episode. Okay, here we go. The special begins during the winter. As the opening title shows, Ebenezer Neezer, played by Mr. Neezer, visits the grave of his deceased grandmother in the cemetery to pay his respects. Months later, it is now spring, one day before Easter. As everyone in Jurassius, I can't read this word, town of London is singing about it being another Easter day, selling Easter lilies and looking for Easter eggs. However, Mr. Nezer is the only one who not interested in the festivities of Easter. The little orphan girl, played by Laura Carrot, is selling lilies as a fundraiser to save the orphanage, giving a lily to the constable, played by Jerry Gard. Mr. Nezer then hops by as the orphan girl tries to sell him a lily, but he is not interested, saying that a lily is real and won't last forever, whereas a plastic Easter egg will last forever, handing one to Laura. Mr. Nezer then tells Laura that she has to pay for the egg before she throws it back at him. At St. Bart Church, Reverend Gilbert, played by Dag Asparagus, and his wife, Mrs. Gilbert, played by Mom Asparagus. Sorry, my trash bag kind of moved. And Edmond Gilbert, played by Junior Asparagus, are preparing to unveil a new stained glass window on the church on Easter Sunday. With help with their friend Monier, played by Scooter Carrot, while Edmund and his father are getting ready everything. Ebenezer passes by the church. Ebenezer is wondering why Mr. Nezer hasn't been coming to church lately. Reverend Gilbert explains that Miss Ebenezer used to attend church Easter service with his grandmother, but stopped coming to church after his grandmother died. In the process of this explanation, it is revealed that Edmund has been afflicted with a serious disease. Meanwhile, at Mr. Nesser's egg factory, we are treated to a multitude of mechanical chickens working without rest to lay plastic eggs for Easter sales. Calvis Appetite, played by Baldy Tomato, and Millward Hips, played by Larry the Cucumber, have been working at the factory for more than a year to pay as a punishment for accidentally burning down Mr. Nesser's theater, with the two of them arguing about which one of them will ask Mr. Nesser for a day off to attend the Easter service at the church. When Mr. Nesser enters the factory, Calvis and Millward approach him, with Millward attempting to ask Mr. Nesser for a day off, but he chickens out at the last minute, claiming that he panicked. Because of this, Calvis is forced to do the honors of asking Mr. Nesser for a day off, as well as the fact that the chickens are getting tired. But Mr. Nesser turns down this request, saying that if anyone doesn't buy his eggs, the factory will go out of business. Mr. Nesser then leads the duo to his office, showing them a portrait of his grandmother, Nesser, before he proceeds to sing about 13 years ago, his grandmother began to sell Easter eggs, which promoted her to build a factory to sell eggs to the people in town. Right up before she died, even after his grandmother's death, Ebenezer will continue to carry on his grandmother's legacy to produce more Easter eggs, taking to heart that his grandmother told him that Easter means no death. Unfortunately, Ebenezer took this message bit too literally, thinking that it means that his grandmother will never die as long as he continues to produce more and more Easter eggs. At that moment, Reverend Gilbert and Edmund entered Mr. Nesser's office, asking him if he will be attending the Easter service tomorrow. But Mr. Nesser answers that he won't, because he thinks that the church takes people away from having to buy his eggs, before announcing that he will be building an Easter theme park known as Easterland, saying that it will have all the things that were provided at Easter, such an Easter egg hunt and all-you-could-eat chocolate bunny buffet. Now I want that. Sounds delicious. When Mr. Nesser announced that he will be building a Easterland right where the church is, everyone is shocked, telling Mr. Nesser that he cannot do that. But Mr. Nesser doesn't care. Before he fires Calvis and Millward and tells him that the world would be a better place if the church was never built. After the song ends, Calvis, Millward, Reverend Gilbert, and Edmund are upset that Mr. Nesser actually attempts to destroy the church. Later that night at St. Bart's Church, Edmund is bed, telling his father that Mr. Nesser can't tear down the church, before Reverend Gilbert tells him that everything will turn out okay soon, which Edmund feels a little bit better about as he goes to sleep. That after that, at the same time this happens, Monier is able to escort the orphan girl back home to the orphanage. Back at the factory, Ebenezer is still mulling over the plans for Easterland, telling the portrait of his grandma that it will be just what she wanted. Seconds later, Ebenezer then falls asleep as the Easterland plans then fall to the floor. After that, after some time has passed, Ebenezer is suddenly awakened when he hears a voice calling out to him. When Mr. Nesser is awake, wondering who calling out to him, he looks up at the portrait of his grandmother before an image of his grandmother comes out from the picture frame. So I am tired. And says, surprise! This surprised Ebenezer so much that he faints to the ground, with Grandma Nesser telling him to get up off the floor. Ebenezer then gets up, screaming at his grandmother is a ghost, but his grandmother tells him that there is no such thing as ghosts and that she merely just a vision that he is having, before telling him in the song in song that he didn't listen, that he really missed the point. I spit. Oops. Missed the point. When Ebenezer is confused about what his grandmother is talking about, grandmother Nezer answers that it's about Easter and that you got it all backwards and upside down. Grandmother Nezer then tells Ebenezer that at midnight he will receive another visitor to tell him all about the true meaning of Easter. After that, Ebenezer wakes up after hearing a loud crash from outside. Outside the factory, it is revealed that the loud crashing sound was caused by a trash can that Calvis and Millward have accidentally knocked over. Calvis tells Millward to watch where he is going before Millward says that he's sorry. We then learn that Calvis and Millward are planning to sneak into the factory so that they can take their plans for Easterland in order to prevent Mr. Nezer from oh, my head's getting watery. From building Easterland on the land where St. Bart's Church is. Millward is hesitant about doing so, saying that the last time they tried borrowing something, it didn't work out so well. The two then proceed to put the first plan in action, which involves Millward giving Calvis a boost to try to get over the wall to the factory. Back inside the factory, Ebenezer is nervously helping himself to a cup of tea, intending to stay awake for a second visitor that the vision of his grandmother Nezer told him about. Just as the clock is almost midnight, Ebenezer then claims that he is not going to fall asleep, but he immediately drops off to sleep after a few seconds. Back outside the factory wall, Calvis is about close to reaching the wall when Mildred suddenly tells him to act casual. When Calvis is confused about this, it turns out that the constable was passing by when he noticed Millward standing next to the factory wall, with Mildred trying to act all innocent despite the constable staring suspiciously at him. Millward starts whistling just as the constable then walks past once again, before Calvis falls off the top of Millward after that. Back inside the office, Ebenezer is still asleep, just as the clock then strikes midnight. Before the music box that sits on the shelf above the fireplace turns into a beautiful angel named Hope. Hope then goes over to Ebenezer to wake him up, but when she pokes him, he does not respond. Before she uses her key to smack him in the face, waking him up, causing him to run around in panic. Before he notices, Hope becomes terrified, mistaking her for a bug. Before Hope retorts, "Do I look like a bug to you?" When Ebenezer correctly guesses, I need to clean my eye. Sorry, okay. Guesses that Hope is the visitor that his grandmother told him about. Hope then asks Ebenezer if he remembers anything that his grandmother told him. Before she also asks him that the true point of the church is, with Ebenezer stating that keeps people away from buying his eggs. But Hope tells him that's wrong, before telling him that she's taking him on a little trip to teach him all about the true meaning of Easter. Soon, Hope and Ebenezer are flying through the sky. Though Ebenezer had a tough time trying to stay upright during the flight, though he and Hope do manage to dodge fireplaces while flying. However, the second time Ebenezer isn't so lucky, as he winds up running into the cross of the church and that he and Hope have arrived. Hope then notices Ebenezer still on the church cross before she brings him back down again. After making a bumpy landing, Ebenezer asks where they are. Before Hope answers that they are at St. Bart's Church, Ebenezer and Hope then enter the church, where there is an Easter service going on. As they walk down the aisles, before Ebenezer is surprised to see his grandma alive and well. but becomes surprised to see a young boy that he does not recognize sitting next to his grandmother. Hope then tells Ebenezer that that boy is him, and that they are in Easter past. Young Ebenezer opens up one of the Easter eggs that he got, but is dismayed to find that it's empty. When young Ebenezer is surprised to hear that it's Christmas actually connected to Easter. Grandmother Nezer tells him that you cannot have one without the other. After that, Ebenezer and Hope and then exit the church before finding that they are back in the office in the factory again. With Ebenezer thinking that he's back home again, but becomes dismayed when to find a clone of himself in the office before Hope reminds him that they are still in Easter past. With them in Easter from the previous year, the past Ebenezer is mourning the death of his grandmother, telling her that the chickens haven't been the same since she died. Oh, my throat feels dry. The past Ebenezer then hears a door knock and goes to answer it as Seymour Shimmick, how you say these names, but played by Paul Grape, enters the office while carrying a wind-up toy that he invented and sets it on the table. Seymour then explains his newest invention to Ebenezer, the thermometry. As it opens up, showing two bunnies wearing bunny suits. Wearing Easter suits while playing soothing music. When Seymour asks Ebenezer if he called for an inventor, Ebenezer explains in the song in similar matter of the Music Man's of the Music Man Rock Island that he wants Seymour to invent a bunch of metaco chickens that can lay plastic eggs so that the plastic egg cell will be back on top again. However, Seymour stops him, saying that Easter isn't about eggs and chocolate in baskets, but when Ebenezer tells him that it's for the greater purpose, Seymour reluctantly decides to grant Ebenezer's request. The current Ebenezer and Hope have been watching the whole thing, with Hope asking Ebenezer if he ever paid Seymour for what he did, which Ebenezer replies that he didn't. But he did give Seymour a free lifetime pass to Easterland. I said Easter Island. After that, Ebenezer and Hope then exit from the office, finding themselves back outside of the factory this time too, which Hope explains to Ebenezer that they are now in Easter present. Then the two then go over to St. Bernard's Church, where they see the Reverend Gilbert and Mrs. Gilbert and Moyer talking about how Mr. Nestor is too stubborn to attend church and that he cannot get away to tearing down the church, as well as the hope of Easter that awaits them. Regarding Edmund's current condition, this time Ebenezer is willing to hear the whole story of Easter from Hope. This time Ebenezer now finds himself into church, where Hope sings about how Jesus was born on the Christmas day and all miracles he did, as well as the people that opposed him and sentenced him to die on the cross. Of course, it is also explained that even though Jesus died on the cross, he rose again to give everyone hope. After the song ends, Ebenezer finally understands the true meaning of Easter, telling Hope that he understands now. However, Hope then reminds Ebenezer of his previous statement about how he thinks that the world will be a better place without church, before introducing him to Easter future. Before Ebenezer can react, a wrecking ball suddenly begins striking the church. Before Ebenezer finds himself falling through a void until he lands on the sidewalk, where he discovers an orphan girl standing in front of him, trying to sell some pencils. However, Winston, played by John Cleese, tells the orphan girl to go home, but she says that she can't go home because the orphanage no longer exists. Hope then explains to Ebenezer that ever since the church got torn down, so did the orphanage. Charlie Pincher then steals orphan girl's pencils, but when the constable tries to stop Pincher, Mr. Pincher taunts him, asking him what he's going to do, which the constable meekly replies, nothing at all. Hope also explains to Ebenezer that the only reason the constable was confident to catch criminals was because the hope of Easter made him confident. Ebenezer and Hope then come to the cemetery, where Ebenezer is horrified to discover that Edmond had passed away, with Reverend Gilbert coming to pay his respects. Ebenezer tried asking Hope that what he can do, but Hope turns back into a music box once again. Before Ebenezer returns to town, see the church still being destroyed, as a part of the staple on the church then falls off and falls towards Ebenezer, just as he quickly wakes up to find himself back in his office again. Oops. After waking up, Ebenezer looks out the window and asks the orphan girl what day it is, which the orphan girl answers that it's Easter Sunday, which Ebenezer is joyous to hear, before he heads out to church, without taking the music box with him. That's weird. It doesn't explain where he throws some money at the orphan girl as a way to, repay her. Outside the factory, Calvis and Millward are still trying to enter the factory with no success, even though Calvis has a bunch of balloons tied to him. Mr. Nesser then runs out of the gates of the factory before Calvis notices the gates are open. Before he and Millward rush towards the factory, but Millward isn't. Where was I? But Millward isn't too sure about the state of the factory. At St. Bernard's Church, everyone has been gathered, with Reverend Gilbert telling them that this is their last service in the church before it is to be destroyed. However, after a few seconds, a bunch of P workers show up, stating that the church must come down, but before they can even deliver the first blow, Ebenezer stops them, telling everyone that he finally understands the true meaning of Easter, and that it's all about hope and how death is not the end. He then gives the music box to Edmund and tells everyone that he has seen the future Easter, and you would not want to go there. Everyone is happy to hear that Ebenezer has finally changed his ways about Easter, before Millward shows up, warning everyone that Calvis is trapped in the factory, which is slated to blow because the chickens have been working overtime. At the factory, everything has begun to overheat, especially when the mechanical chickens, as Calvis quickly races out of the office while carrying the plants for Easterland. Unfortunately, the exit gets blocked off by a bunch of debris, leaving Calvis trapped inside the factory. Ebenezer then shows up by use of an emergency exit, which Calvis is surprised, then angry about, telling Mr. Nesser that he is not going to build Easterland, but Mr. Nesser tells him that he didn't come for the plants, he came for Calvis, which Calvis is surprised then happy to hear. Before they can escape, the ramp for the emergency exit ends up getting destroyed. So Mr. Nesser and Calvis have to find an alternate way to escape the factory. They have until the needle on the pressure gauge hits the red, which means the factory will explode at that time. Fortunately, Ebenezer comes with the idea that he and Calvis get into an egg cart before mechanically Claw picks up the cart and starts swinging it around, with Ebenezer telling Calvis not to push the yellow button for the remote until he says so. Outside the factory, everyone is approaching the doors, with Millward saying that all the exits are blocked, but Reverend Gilbert tells him that the police officer is one of the bravest on the force. The constable then charges forward to break down the doors, but unfortunately, he only succeeds in knocking himself silly. Just as Millward says, "Officer down." Back inside the factory, the mechanical claw still continues swinging the cart around with Nesser and Calvis in it. As the needle gets closer to the red, the claw gets faster and faster, fast enough to fling them out. When the needle hits the red of the gauge, Mr. Nesser tells Calvis to push the button, which Calvis does, which causes the claw to throw the cart out of one of the windows, just as the factory explodes after that. As everyone starts following after the airborne cart, the cart continues to bounce all over the town until it finally reaches the ground and it comes to a stop, to which Calvis climbs out of the cart and kisses the ground in relief. Seconds later, it starts raining plastic Easter eggs, as everyone is happy to see Mr. Nesser and Calvis are alright, as well as the fact that Mr. Nesser has finally seen the light about Easter. Of course, Callis expresses concern about all the money that Mr. Nezin made has now gone on in smoke in from the explosion. Before the loud clang is heard, and it turns out that the safe with all the money has survived with explosion of the factory. Once that over with, everyone, including Ebenezer, then starts to attend the Easter service while singing a reprise of Another Easter Day. Later, Ebenezer has approached his grandmother's grave again, this time with a more positive attitude, and places a lily on her grave, telling her, "I will see you later," before he hops off after that as the special ends. So I hope you enjoy the special, and I don't know why my eyes keep watering. Alright, and I hope you guys have a great Easter with candy, and of course me and my little sister will be watching the 2 VeggieTales specials that VeggieTales released, because we have those in DVD. Well, that is all for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and you're going to be seeing some words in 3, 2, 1.